Hey guys, welcome to A Film Darkly. I'm your host, Anthony Pisano, and today I'm reviewing I'm Thinking of Ending Things. This is a movie that debuted on Netflix about a week ago or so, I believe. It was one of their top 10 that was being viewed. Although recently Netflix has hit a lot of controversy because of a French film called Cuties that they put on their platform. That a lot of people are claiming is super controversial because it has certain sexualized child themes. Personally, I always find it interesting when things like this happen because films over the years have always been controversial. There has always been movies that have come out that have been just, movies that everybody kind of finds to be controversial and doesn't, and has something to say. There's just always stuff like that that's gone on in the past, and it's really, I don't know, I guess interesting to say the least. And with this film, I mean, I don't know, with that film, I mean, I saw the trailer for it, and I didn't quite see what people were talking about, but I don't know. So, focusing on the movie, I'm Thinking of Ending Things. This is a very interesting film. It's written and directed by Charlie Kaufman. It's based on the book I'm Thinking of Ending Things, and it stars Jessie Buckley and Jess Plemons, I think is how you say his last name, as the character Jake. Tony Collette shows up in this. David Thewlis, I think is how you say his name. He's in this. Tony Collette obviously is the most recognizable name out of all these names, and like always, she's fantastic in this film. 100% great in this movie. So this is a movie that you kind of watch, and after it's done, you have to go on YouTube and find an explained video because it is very confusing what's going on, because it's a very strange film. And Charlie Kaufman is kind of known for this. He did the movie Endless Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, which is sort of a crazy film in and of itself, albeit I found it to be much more sane and much more easier to grasp than this film. He also did the film Being John Malkovich, which I've not seen, but I've heard that it's a great film, but I've heard it's a wacky film as well. So this movie is nothing short of being crazy in and of itself as well. It's a movie that's hard to follow. It's hard to understand what's going on. I thought it was interesting that Charlie Kaufman chose to have 20 to 30 minutes. Actually, there's more than that now that I think about it. It's 40 minutes of the film is just in a car, driving along, and that's it. Really fascinating stuff when directors are willing to do things like that are very challenging and different. It's hard to talk about this movie and talk about what it's mainly about without somewhat spoiling it. So what I will say is it's about a young woman who is going to meet her boyfriend's parents, and that's the main premise of the movie, how it starts, and where it goes from there is just insane. It just kind of it's all over the place. You don't really understand. You have to kind of play the detective game and put the pieces together. If you check out the trailer for this alone, you get a feel for what the movie's going to be like. I think the trailer represents it very well without giving anything away. So I would highly recommend that if you've not watched the movie, watch the trailer first, and then ask yourself if you really want to watch the movie. Personally, I enjoy this movie. I think it's a good movie. I think it's a slow burn of a film. It's a mixture of things. It's hard to grasp. It's hard to to gather your thoughts about what's going on and what's happening in front of you. It's not quite like a movie like Mother. Mother is a movie that by Darren Aronofsky that I thought was just too far into the world of like what's going on. This movie kind of has that element to it, but when you get to the ending, and hopefully when you get to the ending, you've figured it out. I was pretty sure I knew what was going on, but I still went and watched like some explained videos because I wanted to somebody to basically tell me I was right. And I was right, but I was also kind of like, am I really right? Like I really wasn't sure if I was right. And I'm not even sure if I really ever had it right in the first place, because I feel like I was so kind of torn on what to actually believe and what my opinion actually should have been of the movie. It's got a 6.8 on IMDb. Its Metascore is 77. I don't know what its Rotten Tomatoes score is. Let me look it up real quick. Rotten Tomatoes. I'm thinking of many things. Rotten Tomatoes. So 83% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's not bad. Audience scores 49%. Figures, because, audiences just tend to have a difficult time when a movie is a little too abrupt, a little too all over the place, and really kind of expects you to have to think and to have to go along with it. And I know that sounds bad because it's almost like you're saying, oh, Anthony, are you saying audiences are too stupid? I'm not saying audiences are too stupid. I'm saying that we have been sort of conditioned as audience members to go and see films that are easy to digest and are fun. It doesn't matter if they're just comedies that make you laugh, if they're kind of like an action film, whether you're talking the superhero movies or whether you're talking Fast and Furious. These franchises are built for us to just kind of go in and mindlessly watch and be able to get it and digest it simply. I think that people aren't conditioned for really strong cinematic experiences like a movie such as I'm thinking of Ending Things. That movie is a cinematic film that requires you to chew. It doesn't require you just to kind of, it's not an easy meal. You're not eating, I don't know, cereal or something here. Like you're chewing a steak. You have to cut into it and you have to chew it. And that's what that's how these films are. Some of these very cinematic films that are really presenting something to you that's authentic and artistic. And unfortunately, like, a lot of what's really popular isn't those kinds of films. You can usually go into a crowd and ask, have you seen the latest, Avengers? Yeah, everybody's seen it. But then you're like, how many of you went to go see Midsommar? Not very many. How many of you have seen Midsommar? If you're not talking to like real movie freaks, a lot of them haven't seen it. Doesn't mean regular audience people didn't go see it or didn't happen to watch it while it's up on Amazon Prime or something. No, but it's kind of one of those things where it's like audiences don't tend to want to go see films like that. And then when they do see films like that, they don't tend to enjoy them as much because they're slow burns. They're not conditioned to sit there and chew on and really, dive into a good story. Kind of like the movie Parasite. It's like, everyone I know who's seen Parasite loves Parasite. But it is a movie that is sort of like this slow burn, you got to kind of chew it movie. And it's a funny movie. It's an incredibly entertaining movie. But yet people are still going to find themselves kind of... You're not going to find a lot of people watching that movie. And I'm thinking of ending things is the same way. It's too much of a twist. It's too much of a choppy film for your regular average audience member. And if you're the kind of person who just you like easy to digest fun films, it's not going to be a movie for you. You're probably going to watch this and you're going to be like, well, what did I just watch? And that's fine. You can feel that way. I don't want people to feel bad if they like the easy to digest films. That's fine. I'm being kind of, when we're cinephiles like myself, cinephiles tend to be snobby. It's just the truth of it. We tend to be a little snobby where we watch stuff and we're just kind of like, And especially when you come from the filmmaker perspective like myself, it really changes things for you because you watch movies and you realize there's no artistic ability there. There's no, dare I say, no talent exercised. It's kind of like people were hired to do things, and then they put together what a production studio wanted. But there was no a person that's like really great to listen to is Martin Scorsese, because he's big on this. He talks about this kind of stuff all the time. It's the idea of like creativity leaving the theater and being an auteur leaving the theater. And it's unfortunate, but it is happening. There are very few auteurs who are still existing, who are out there just making what they want to make. And either they already have a huge name, like a Scorsese, like a Ridley Scott, and so they can make whatever they want, and there's not a thing you could say about it, and you're going to go see it anyways because they have a big famous name, or they're not famous at all. But maybe they've been on the outskirts making money anyways. Peter Jackson was like this for years. Another one is Sam Raimi was kind of like this for a number of years. Kevin Smith has really kind of made himself this kind of director where he's just sort of like, I make what I want now. So yeah, he's going to go out and make a movie, like Yoga Hosers where they're fighting sausages that are Nazis. I mean, it's literally that goofy of a film. Or Tusk, which did get a theatrical release, but it was sort of like this auteur film, just this fun movie that he made, this horror film that, has comedic elements to it as well. That's just what he's been doing. Even the last, what are those characters' names? My gosh, I'm forgetting their name right now. Man, I it's like right on the tip of my tongue, too. It was Jay and Silent Bob. There you go. Jay and Silent Bob. It's like the Jay and Silent Bob films. I saw the last one. I don't believe I reviewed. No, I didn't review it. The reason I didn't review it is because I didn't like it very much. I thought it was kind of a bad movie. And I just was sort of like, you could clearly tell he made this movie just for him and his buddies. It's not really a movie made for audiences. Now, that's kind of going a little too far because you're leaving the auteur part behind, and then you're saying, hey, let's just like kind of do our own thing. But when you're doing a movie for your buddies, it just doesn't really work. It's kind of like Grown Ups. For Adam Sandler, he made a movie that was for his friends. That movie has almost no storyline at all. It's barely funny. It to me, it was like a bore fest, and I thought it was going to be a lot funnier because I'm like, you got all these great comedians in it. No, it was just boring to me. So I didn't bother watching the sequel. And if there is a third one like he wants, I'm definitely not going to bother watching that. Because it just doesn't, it doesn't appeal to me. None of it seems very good. So anyhow, I just think like there's such a thing as like making things for your friends and knowing that that's probably not going to be liked by anybody. And then there's such a thing as just making something for you and at the same time having the hope that other people want to watch it and other people enjoy it. And sometimes it's not always the case. Sometimes it is the case that you make a lot of stuff and, people just don't really care. I tend to make what I like. I know myself as a filmmaker, that's what I intend to continue to do. And obviously, I'm not at no level where I'm making films yet, full feature films, and I have any sort of name to myself. But I could tell you right now that for me, I don't intend on ever passing the line of doing something because a production studio tells me to do it and having people change my script or tell me what I need to film. And if that means that I just have to make a mediocre living off of filmmaking, because I do want to make a living off filmmaking, I want to get to the point where I don't have to work a job. I could just do filmmaking. I'm fine with that. I'm fine if I have to just live with normal means, but I'm getting to make the movies I want to make. I'm fine with that. I just want to be able to live off of this, and continue to do this. It's not about making money or being famous. I really don't care if people even know my name, to be honest. I'm more about, can I make a really good film that is going to sustain my life? And, possibly sustain my life as it changes over the years. That's all I'm interested in. And so for me, it's I don't care to work for the giant production studio that's, possibly going to pay me millions of dollars to make the next superhero movie, because I'm not interested in walking onto a set and, meet or trying to write a script in them saying, no, this doesn't really match what we plan to do in phase 4 of Marvel. It's really? No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to end up being an Edgar Wright. And that's what happened to Edgar Wright, because Edgar Wright is a true storyteller. He likes to do what he wants to do. And when he was going to tell Ant-Man, he was going to tell his favorite superhero. When everyone's a kid and they're running around pretending they're Spider-Man or Superman or Batman, this guy's running around pretending he's Ant-Man. And that's way out there. That's a deep cut into Marvel. Most people had no idea who Ant-Man was until MCU had already built up all this stuff and then said, hey, we're going to make this movie called Ant-Man, and we're going to put out a bunch of posters that shows him with the equipment of the Avengers so that you could put two and two together and say, this guy's Marvel. And now people know who Ant-Man is, they like Ant-Man and all this stuff, and it's you guys had no idea who Ant-Man was, though. I knew who he was. I knew who he was way before anybody else did. Way before it became part of the zeitgeist, so to speak. So I just think, though, that it's interesting, and just the point I'm trying to make is that Edgar Wright had a real love for Ant-Man, and he wanted to be an auteur and to make his Ant-Man film. And I will always feel bad for that guy that he never got to make his film. And I hope one day Marvel gets to a point where they're not really doing the phases and they just let people make superhero films, and he gets called upon to go and make Ant-Man, make his Ant-Man. I think that'd be so cool if he got that opportunity just to make his Ant-Man, because I'm pretty sure if he made an Ant-Man movie, it would be far better than any Ant-Man movie we've gotten. And that's nothing against Paul Rudd. I like Paul Rudd. I think Michael Douglas is a good pick for Hank Pym, although I wanted the movie to be about Hank Pym. Specifically, starting to get all, into the comic stuff. But I'll leave that alone. But anyways, that's just a little bit on the whole idea of auteurs and cinephiles and cinematic films, which is what a movie like this, I'm thinking of anything, is. It is a movie that a man made because he was very interested in the story. And he made the movie he wanted to make. And whether or not you enjoy it, or whether or not you went to see it, or you watch it on Netflix, it is really not, I wouldn't say it's his main concern. His main concern is, let me put this story out there. And I know that he knows that as long as there's people like myself who appreciate what he's making, that's what really matters. Because Charlie Kaufman did a wonderful job with this film. He really did. He accomplished what he wanted, and it's a great movie. It's an entertaining movie. It's interesting. I don't know if it... I find that movies like this hardly have replay value, and I don't know how much I would want to watch this again. I do watch weird films over and over again, or creepy films or whatever, like The Witch. It's a slow burn movie, but I watch it. I watch it quite a bit. Same thing with Hereditary, Midsommar. I watch those quite a bit. And when I mean quite a bit, I mean like once a month I'm watching those movies, interestingly enough. But, yeah, so, anyways, that's enough. I've talked long enough. I got some other reviews I need to be doing soon. I've been watching quite a few movies, seen quite a bit that people recommended to me, and I think it's time I just kind of get to doing some reviews of those movies. Interestingly enough, I sat down and watched the entire Omen trilogy. I had already seen part 4, so no, I didn't watch that one, and it's not part of this trilogy. Omen 4 is kind of just its own thing. It's a weird film. It's not very good. But anyhow, I went ahead and watched the whole series, so I have thoughts on that. I might talk about that. I'm not really too sure. But anyways, thanks for listening. Talk to you guys next time. And bye.